Welcome back, everybody. I'm Dr. Greg Eckel, and this is What the Health. And I have Justin Frandson on board today, and we are talking all things neurology, EMF, concussions. He is an athleticism performance coach and founder of athleticism.com and EMF Rocks.com. He is the author of Athleticism, Whole Body plus Whole Brain equals Performance. I love this, and this is where I think you guys and gals out there are going to get the most out of the conversation today. And his over 25 years, Justin does nerve work for sports performance with amateur and professional athletes in most major sports. He successfully treats concussions quickly in most major sports, and he is basically knowing that everything has a resonance. Justin uses light, sound, frequency, and vibration to facilitate healing and performance. I love that. About a decade ago, he saw his athletes breaking down from wearable technology, and he looked to nature to solve this man-made electricity and EMF challenge. His EMF Rocks grounding bags are sold at doctor clinics across the country. The grounding bags are the leading natural protection for helping people coexist with EMFs and get a deeper sleep. So welcome aboard, Justin.
Thank you, Dr. Greg. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, you are very welcome. I love that you have put this together for us. So let's start with maybe what you saw with the athletes that you were working with wearables and seeing their bodies break down. How did you put that together, and what was the cause of it?
I saw one of the strongest, fittest endurance athletes come through with a smartwatch on his wrist. And he's like, "Hey, Justin, my arm's really weak and I have pain right at my wrist." And I look down, I'm like, "The left one?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Okay, get the watch off your wrist. That's radiation." So he takes it off and the pain goes away right at his wrist. And then the arm functionality started to restore. So that was about a decade ago. And I knew these signals were just getting stronger and the proximity protocols were non-existent, and we had to do something about it. So we dove into EMF Rocks at about that point.
Interesting. So what, I've seen that as well from applied kinesiology, different injuries. I mean, even on my own arm, and I will wear wearables, but without emitting the EMFs on them and then plug them in. So it's a little bit of a nuisance, but I feel like it does cut down on my exposure as we're swimming in it. There's no hiding from it. So what are these rock bags that you have?
Well, everyone looks to nature to get grounded, right? And so did we. So we hand mine crystals, and they have moisture and magnetic properties. So these are what they actually look like inside the grounding bag. And this is a full-size grounding bag. These are the ones we sell to help people sleep and deal with EMF challenges. And so they're hand-mined crystals. Yeah, hand-mined crystals inside. They have a resonance, creates a coherence between us and all the non-native EMFs.
Love it. So let's talk about then the bioenergetics component, because that's where I think we'll have a lot of fun there. Right. So we're bathing in these waves and frequencies that are not necessarily great for our bodies. And then you have some grounding rocks. I mean, we do prescribe grounding, but not all the earth is clean. And so people in cities have a hard time getting there. So what are you seeing with the bags? What kind of health benefits?
Oh, it's tremendous. So it's like walking barefoot in a bag. We just have a really special part of the planet that we've been able to mine. We hand mine them and deploy them in the grounding bag. And you put one grounding bag on your bed, you'll sleep 3 to 50% deeper, maybe even more. Dr. Rodney White, he did a sleep test, and his sleep has been awful for most of his adult life. And he's been looking for modalities, and the grounding bags improved his deep sleep from 45 minutes to 100 minutes for 2 months straight. And that's not anecdotal.
Yeah. That's lovely. And that's really important for brain health. So then what's the component between the rocks, the grounding, and your kind of love of helping people with their brains and concussions. What's the connection there?
Well, when someone has a concussion injury, their blood-brain barrier is affected, and so you gotta clear the stressors to heal a brain injury a lot quicker. And NCAA protocol will say even no screen time, just from the light. So if we know that that's affecting, we know the EMF surrounding it are affecting the healing capacity. And especially if they're a student athlete, their brains aren't fully developed. So they don't have a fully developed skull to protect them as well. So when we're looking at this EMF protection and combining it with concussion treatments, you got to look at the invisible environment or surrounding us and clear the stressors out, because that's the same thing we did with the athlete with the watch. You clear the stressors out, they'll start to heal a lot quicker.
Got it. And on that, so EMFs, some of them are natural and some of them are not. So you have a distinction between non-native EMFs and how they're different. So will you get into that a little bit for us?
Yeah, let's have a little physics talk here, everybody. We're one with the universe. We're made on scalar waves. They're waves that are unpolarized and distribute equally in every direction. So prime example for me is that when you drop a pebble in a pond, the resonance of the pond is going to distribute equally in every direction, correct? It's not a straight line. Yeah, it's not a straight line to the right or left or up or down. Like that's a distribution of a scalar wave, which is an unpolarized waveform. So that's a framework for our entire resonance in the entire universe. And when you're introducing a man-made non-native EMF form, they're all one-directional waveforms, Dr. Greg, or they don't work. And so that's why you see cell towers, their panels are facing every direction because they have to broadcast in that direction and that direction. So they don't work unless they're one directional. So it's a huge difference. Those are polarizing frequencies and they're 10 zeros faster than how we sleep, rev, and optimize.
Interesting. So, and then so you're seeing that is disturbing our own electrical apparatus. How does it throw it off? I mean, the grounding bags will bring somebody back into a whole state or better integrity of their biofield, I'm guessing is maybe how you say it. How do you say it?
Yeah. So what happens is it's just like when you go outside and you get grounded, you're pulling in the healing capacity of Mother Nature. And Eileen McCusick really says it in a great way. Our bodies act like a body battery. We get a negative ionic charge from the earth and pull those electrons. We get a positive charge from the sun and we breathe in minerals. Hopefully we get it from our food, and then we get more from our water, and then we get the conductivity from the water. So that's really how our body battery works, is you got to be in nature and have that cycle flowing. And if there's a disconnect from it, you're going to break down in a certain way, shape, or form. And so your energy field, as Bruce Lipton will say, your chi is indicative of your health. So you have to have the energy to have the chemistry and biology. So we got to look at the energy fields first. So if something's disrupting that field because it's a way faster polarizing waveform, our bodies will end up breaking down in an array of different ways. And the way nature is designed to do it is to create that coherence. So to keep our body charged and the polarity strong, so we're not breaking down.
Got it. So how does the EMF affect our health then? Because we're talking about a negative effect, but how is that? What does it do? That just unidirectional waveform, that's enough to throw us off, or what is it? Do you know?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it does a lot of different things. We'll go to Dr. Martin Paul's work out of Washington State University. He talks about the voltage gated calcium channels breaking down. There's a secondary effect where positive calcium will go into a cell and negative cell and in turn cause tremendous cell and DNA damage. So literally it's an oxidative stressor on the body. 2.45 gigahertz or 2.45 billion waves per second is the same bandwidth that starts to destructure water. So if we're losing our hydration in our body and having less, we're dehydrated, we're going to have less conductivity. We're not going to be as efficient. And that's a challenge for the body. So we're also calcifying our pineal gland. So you're seeing sleep disruption from that. We're going to go into the one I've seen clinically are the eyes, teeth, thymus, intestines get decharged from EMFs. And you can use our grounding bags as a self home care protocol to recharge them. Literally, you tap on the bag, it's applied kinesiology, tap on the bag, cover your eyes, and then teeth, and then thymus and intestine area one at a time for about 10 seconds. And it's like working with homeopathic tinctures. When you activate the properties in it, then you take the droppers. It's the same with the crystals. You can activate them and direct them accordingly. From there, what we see is most level 1, 2, and 3 EMFs are all cognitive to start with. So level 1 would be lack of focus, memory, anxiety, fatigue, stress, headaches, maybe some ringing in the ears. Just you're going to see more cognitive things. Lack of sleep is the big one. Level 2 would be non-trauma concussion symptoms, nausea, vomiting, seizures, bloody noses, more severe ringing, rashes on the skin, all the symptoms we saw with the Havana cohort or Havana syndrome, they called it, the first attack of U.S. embassy workers on foreign soil with microwave radiation. And then level 3, Dr. Greg, are the bigs: cancer, suicide, diabetes, Alzheimer's disease, cardiovascular disease. And then the biggest one now we're seeing is this lack of fertility from the EMFs. And so those are how the body ends up showing that it's super compromised from it.
Got it. Which are very, very common symptoms, unfortunately, these days. Right. Well, you said 2.4 megahertz. So that was the old wireless telephones in the house. So then they went to a 5 megahertz to broadcast further throughout the house, right? And then how does that?
Yeah.
What's that?
The gigahertz, 2.45 gigahertz. Yeah.
Got it. And then how does that equate to our cell phones then?
Cell phones are about the same. That's what their bandwidth is the Bluetooth, the cell phones, the routers are all in the billions of waves per second. So when we're looking at electricity, we measure the speed of a waveform to determine what type of electricity it is. So milligauss or electricity is 50 to 60 waves per second. Dirty electricity is 100,000 or 4,000 to 100,000. And then the wireless are all 50 million to billions of waves per second. 5G is 60 to 90 billion waves per second. So you can actually buy a meter to measure that speed of that wavelength. And to the contrary, when we're sleeping, the delta and theta brainwave states, I'm sure you're well aware of it, because that's when all the restoration takes place. When we get in those deeper REM or lucid dream states, our brain is at a really low and slow waveform at 1 or below 1 to 8 hertz or waves per second. The Schumann resonance of the Earth, 7.83 hertz or waves per second, depending on the season. So net, we rev really one with the universe. And these other ones are way faster than how we're designed to sleep and optimize. And with our athletes, they're 8 to 13 hertz or waves per second when they're in the alpha state, when they're in that flow state. So that's the difference. When we start to quantify and look at the speed of those waveforms, it ends up being really challenging. But even with Dr. Martin Paul's work, even if it's low level like electricity, it's still causing that vibration to affect us. So we've kind of been tricked, and our bodies are so resilient. But ever since we introduced electricity into our homes in 1889, the flu was here to stay. And all the symptoms that I just increased, the level 3, have skyrocketed up.
They really has. So, and you're kind of putting that together with regards to the electrical currents that we're bathing in, the frequencies that surround us.
Correct. Yes, there's a
Yeah.
book called,
Wow.
yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, please.
I wanted to share, there's a book called The Invisible Rainbow by Arthur Furstenberg, and he categorized the history of electricity in life. Have you read that one?
I have. Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah, so for the listeners that aren't aware of it, he categorized the history of electricity in life and directly correlates mass disease with increased shifts in our electromagnetic blanket of an atmosphere, whether it was cosmic before 1889 with solar flares or pressure shifts, and then after was all introductions of radio waves or satellites or 5G.
Wow. Yeah, that is, and you've brought that in treating your athletes that you work with. Are you showing, so in addition to changing the terrain and the surrounding frequencies for them, so over the 25 years of treating performance athletes, what are you noticing there as far as complexity of care, how long it takes to rehab, get results back to Wellville is what I'll call it?
In a concussion or which injury?
Yeah, concussion.
Concussions. Well, it depends on the severity and the amount, but the average sports concussion, just a simple knock to the head or a ball to the side or back of the head, you're better really quickly within a month. Most of the people wait 3 weeks to come see me, and then they're better in a month's time. 10 sessions, like twice a week for, basically, 4 or 6 weeks, and they're 100% and back at it, unless they get cleared by their MD and then get a normal, typical, scheduled vaccination, and it throws them back off for another month, which I've seen as well.
Got it. Got it. Well, do you have any, this has been enlightening, and I love the concept of the sound frequency, light treatments, because that is what we are doing here at the Energy for Life Centers. I've been a big proponent of frequency as the future of medicine, and it's now. Anything else that you would like to share with our listeners or viewers?
Well, yes, it's all about creating that coherence between us and our environment and getting in that circadian rhythm of the environment. The closer we can be to it, the better we're going to feel. The more connected above, the more grounded to the earth you are, the faster you're going to be able to heal. And that's really it in a nutshell. So get outside, touch a tree, get barefoot, jump into a body of water, and get grounded by nature. It's free, and it's probably one of the best things you could do for your health, and probably one of the missed topics that should be the first thing people do, because it's really tough to heal when you decharged and you lose your polarity.
Yeah, I love that. Charging our body batteries. So thank you for that. All right, everybody. So here you have it. You've got new information that corroborates with what we've been saying all along, is that the future is frequency, and we really are light beings, and we are affected by our environment. So thank you so much for bringing this topic to us today. We're going to put your links in the show notes. You also recently wrote a book. You released a book recently, and Grounded by Nature, everything should actually grounded by nature. I'll just leave it like that. You have a subtitle on there that will put that link as well for folks to check it out. Of course, get out into nature, folks. That's really where the healing is. And we've got these nice pads coming here from Justin and his organization, EMFRocks.com. So check them out and let us know. Report back in the show notes how you're doing out there. So many people have sleep difficulties, and this may be the missing link for you. All right. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.